Good morning,
Morning,
Daily
morning.
Rip. Welcome back to another week. This is our third week, Shy. Let's go,
Yeah.
baby. We got it going. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. It's kind of a weird week last week, having Thanksgiving off and then the half day on Friday. Arguably, the 2 days that everybody said to take off were pretty much the best days to actually trade, that day before Thanksgiving and then that half day Friday. So just really goes to show, right? You got to show up and see what the price action has to offer, because just listening to what people say or what things may happen, like the things, like the way things might go, versus the way things are actually going, right? What price action is telling us. It's super important to listen to that, I think. And I mean, I caught some great moves those 2 days that the rest of the week it just really didn't perform at all, right? Obviously, crypto is moving, Bitcoin pulling back to 95K, altcoins kind of going crazy over the weekend, which makes sense, right? We had Thanksgiving, not really able to trade stocks as much, so people are going over to crypto and attacking that market. So very interesting. What are we thinking about everything, Shy?
I know we're entering that period where people play, then invest or trade. That makes sense. Like I think right now we're in there's I think the bearish catalyst remaining for 2024 is behind us now. So it's going to be a trend setting type of month, and the trend has clearly been up to the right. So it's going to be a lot of like, all right, the flooring is, we're leveled right now. So now we can have fun with what kind of actions we want to go. Crypto is the first place a lot of people are going towards because of the strength they're showing. The chart looks like it's about to break out. Michael Saylor is just buying thousands and thousands of Bitcoins every single week. You're seeing like a lot of like the Trump appointees on his being very pro crypto, and that's like entering a period where all these setups haven't been this rosy for crypto, and it's turning into that. And a lot of people are just like, wow, how can I like capitalize on that? And you're seeing it right now with like altcoins, meme coins. Like you're seeing a ton of run, and there's a lot of volatility there where the market has been very boring. Where the VIX is at 13 handle, and like it feels like I was just telling Jordan before the show, like it feels like people are like kind of taking the year, like the rest of the year off. Like just seeing last week, this week, there's a lot of jobs data, but like it doesn't really feel like people are like as active as they've been all year.
Well, yeah,
It's
and you
like
look at active traders, even someone like myself. I mean, over the past, if you guys have been a part of Spaces at all or part of my personal live streams, you guys know, like, I mean, I would be in 5, 6 different swing positions at once over the course of like the past, 6 months, really. And the past, month or so, I really have been flat in my options account, have not had any real big trades, just a couple trades back and forth here and there, but nothing that I really have a bunch of conviction on, right? And that's because, I mean, going into this year, it's quiet into the end of the year. And with that VIX trading where it's at, it really makes for some tough price action to capitalize on, whether that's intraday, swing trading. It can all be kind of tough to get on there. So I'm just really taking a step back, trying to coast my way into the end of the year and keep my profits that I
that's
made.
the
Because
thing.
honestly, that's the thing. Like, all the setups I was looking at that I was potentially going to take, I mean, had I taken those, I would have lost money. It's like me sitting out is saving me money right now. So I'd rather, that's why I'm focused on the futures, more intraday price action, right? I'm still there capitalizing. I'm still there trying to take part in the price action, but it's not good enough for me to put, my hard-earned money into options contracts for swing trades.
Well, you brought up a great point because I think a lot of people are not outperforming the market, but outperforming their expectations of investing a couple
Absolutely.
years ago. So, like for me specifically, like last when I started creating a public growth portfolio on Twitter, I started my Twitter account last year. My expectation was 15% a year. Last year was 87%. I was like, holy moly, like this is like a one-off year. This year's 67. So now I'm like, I'm I feel like I'm at the blackjack table. Like I'm running hot. The table is just like running hot. I've been playing for hours. Do I continue being this greedy, or is there going to be a moment where the market humbles a lot of people? And what do I want to do to get ahead of that if that occurs? Like, because I want to protect these gains for the last 2 years, where it's something that's significantly outperformed my expectations. If I take a like, this is not going to happen, but let's just say I decide to retire from investing for the next 3 years. I would still, from the last 2 years' gains, outperform my expectation when I launched this portfolio. So I do think like right now, like it feels too easy. It feels like a lot of people's heads are getting bigger and bigger, mine included. I have to look in the mirror to humble myself a bit. My fiance does a great job every day humbling me because she doesn't want me getting too much of an ego. I grew up in LA. I'm Persian. That combination is very douchey sometimes. So like I have to like limit myself on how much I can have my ego get raised and raised. And I think right now the market feels too easy, and typically when it feels that way, it does humble you. And I don't think it's going to happen in the next couple of weeks, but Q1 of next year needs to be, you have to be very cautious. Like treat every quarter as a different chapter. Just because the market's been raging for 2 years doesn't mean 2025 will be like that. And I do think volatility will return in the markets, especially the VIX at 13 handle. So like hedging is very cheap right now if you want to protect your gains.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, the market has just been on an absolute tear really since October, November of last year, straight up. I mean, we've had those little periods of consolidation, small pullbacks, but it's been straight up to the upside, right? So, in my mind, coming into the end of this year, coming into a whole new year, I'm not opposed to the thought that we really chop for a while. Maybe I want to see a strong another strong year, but I think we're going to see more individual names that are strong. Something like Tesla, Coinbase, a lot of crypto names maybe be strong, and the overall markets just be really quiet. Because I mean, we've had a beautiful run, and markets aren't going to run forever. They got to rest, and doesn't mean we're going to pull back a ton, right? Doesn't mean the market's going to drop a ton in May, but at the end of the day, I would not be opposed to just seeing this market go sideways for a little while, and maybe that's 2025, maybe that's 2026. I don't know. We're gonna find out, right? But just some thoughts to think about going into the new year for sure. But yeah, let's go on over to ChartArt real quick. Take a look on some of the charts on there. Tesla right now, you guys know I love my Tesla. Tesla is looking really good, especially in pre-market right now. We're getting a nice bump up, but this overall, wedge breakout that's happening on the monthly is really starting to look juicy and get going here. I'm loving the way this is looking. This is the number one stock in my long-term portfolio, and I do trade it pretty consistently on the intraday as well. So I'm loving this. I would love to see over $400 soon. Shy, how are we feeling about Tesla right now?
I mean, it feels like nothing can take Tesla down really right now.
Elon in office. I mean,
It's like
he's got
Elon being the
power.
first buddy. I do think that another thing is the $7,500 EV tax removal. A lot of people thought it would be such a massive disruptor for Tesla stock in the near term. It hasn't been. California deciding to not include California deciding to do their own state thing and exclude Tesla from the EV credit. It's not affecting Tesla stock. I think Rivian just got a massive grant from the government as well, not affecting Tesla stock. It's because now I think that you're seeing the transition occur from folks viewing Tesla as a number of car deliveries per month towards transport transportation as a service type of company through FSD and autonomy. And you're seeing some notes this morning. Stifel had a really positive notes where they called out if FSD reaches its full potential, it will add $300 to the Tesla stock price on top. Like that's $300 incrementally on top of whatever the core value is for Tesla on the automotive business. That just shows like it will double essentially the stock if FSD is a reality. And I think that's something that a lot of people were violently off sides before this run up in Tesla because they didn't believe autonomy was a reality. But I think people are warming up to it, especially on the street, Wall Street, that in a Trump-led presidency, this FSD is going to be more of a reality. And you're seeing that in the price action. It's up 2%, I think, pre-market, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. We're just coming out of some short-term consolidation that was looking really healthy. I mean, it was making higher lows, higher highs the whole time, and the consolidation just kind of going back and forth. We're kind of still in that range, but I expect to get a nice move to the upside out of there. And I mean, everybody that asked me, what's the number one stock you'd invest in, that you'd look at into for the next 2 years? And for me, it's Tesla. There's a reason it's number one in my portfolio right now, right? I think, having Elon in power is just the cherry on top for this to really take this to the next level these next 4 years. And I don't know. Hopefully, we see Tesla over $400. I would love to see that, and it's not like we're really far off from this point. It seemed like it maybe a few months ago, but sitting where we're at now, it's not this crazy idea to think about. So, loving it. I'm obviously on a long-term perspective, looking for this to continue doing well, but we'll see how the short-term price action does. JD looking interesting coming in to the new year here on this dip. What are your thoughts about JD here, Shy?
I mean, I treat I
Especially
treat
with the
all
Trump trade, you know.
exactly. I treat all these like China stocks as a bucket. Like they all are clearly complete, like very great companies, very different elements of what they do in the Chinese economy. But as a U.S. investor, they all move together. It doesn't really matter what PDD, JD, Alibaba really does or what their mode is. Their stock price reaction is always bucketed together as a thematic trade on China names. And you saw this most recent 13F season, a lot of big whales started transitioning their portfolios towards China names, selling U.S. big tech
Hmm.
towards China names. I know it's like that's backwards looking 13F season. Like we don't know what they currently own, but in the past quarter, that's what they did. I have a hard time believing that all these big whales were offsides on Trump winning the presidency. Like, no way they were just like betting on Kamala winning, and that's why they did that trade. I think this is more of a multi-year trade for a lot of these names because they're calling BS on Trump U.S. I mean, in the U.S. China trade war, they're just calling BS on it, and these stocks are getting severely bashed because of that narrative.
Hmm.
I don't like Chinese names because I think this
I
narrative
don't
will be
either.
a
You won't really
consistent
catch me
one.
trading them much, to be honest. It's not a lot of fun for me. But I
I
mean,
mean,
this one's
it just
looking decent, retesting that massive previous high there, and we're holding it. So I think as long as we're holding that, this name has decent chance, especially being part of the Trump trade. But not a name I trade consistently, and yeah, the China sector is tough for me to participate in. But I know we had some GME. Oh yeah, GME. Look at this. Memes are back. I have not traded GME in a long time, but things have been kind of honestly solid lately. There's been a beautiful trade there. I have not been participating, but you look at the higher time frame breakout here, and looking pretty good. I would. You got to be careful with these meme names, right? I mean, whatever positions you're taking on it, you gotta be realistic, right? And know, have an exit plan. A lot of people I see trading GME just don't even have an exit plan, and I think that can get you broke real quick. But taking advantage of these shorter term moves when the volatility is there, I think that's great, right? As long as you're trading it, right? Investing in this for me is I don't know, a big no. But what do you think, Shy?
this is the perfect example of why month of December is more playing than trade like investing and trading. Like this is a playing stock. This is I think maybe it's breaking out because um I don't know, Ryan Cohen is associated with crypto for some reason. Like he's
It's
just
not a
running
very strong
GameStop.
breakout to me, though. The way these
Well,
charts are looking.
I also do think it's an AMC kind of combo move where AMC had the record-breaking Thanksgiving weekend the past 5 days. Like never had this many box office sales in their 104-year history. If AMC is going to catch a bid, I think a lot of people like are hoping like GameStop will also catch a bid with it because they're both meme stock. They're categorizing in that meme stock thematic. So I think that's why maybe GameStop is setting up for somewhat of a breakout because they're a sympathy play to AMC for some odd reason. They're completely different industries, but I do think that's what's happening. And when I say like things might get frothy, GameStop will move during frothy periods. Like that's why
And it
like
goes quick. We,
yeah,
we
it's
know how
very
these
quick.
memes move, right? It's not really it's not really a setup there. It's like once it goes, it's going, and you're either on the train or you're not. You know what I mean? And that's what makes these names tough to trade, right? And it's very risky. So I
Well,
say,
it creates bag holders. That's the issue.
yeah,
Like you can make a lot of money, but you can also hold the bag if you don't have tight stop lots.
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, take it with a grain of salt, whatever you're trading there. Just to kind of recap over last week, small caps still soaring to record highs. The Russell hit its first record high in 3 years. And then Cassava Sciences cratered. Obviously, we saw that last week. That was crazy. while BridgeBio boomed and other stocks moving on earnings and company news. Tuesday we had consumer confidence that went higher alongside stocks. We had on Wednesday, bulls took a much needed break. We saw the price action to the downside. That was beautiful. I capitalized pretty good on that and on the NQ futures, and that was a great move. Again, the 2 days everybody thought would be horrible are the 2 days that actually were the best trading days in terms of price action and direction. You know what I mean? All up to the week, it was very back and forth, whereas those 2 days, it was very, very clear which direction we were going in, right? So, love to see that. Obviously, markets were closed for Thanksgiving. And then Friday, we had that half day where buyers just came right back and took us right to new all time highs on the SPY again. And things are looking strong. I really, I look at the SPY chart over and over, and it's just, I have not one reason to be bearish. It's higher highs, higher lows the whole way. Every time, every dip we take, we get bought up until that stops. Again, I'm not gonna step in and be the guy that's trying to pick top because I have zero reason to think so. Now, doesn't mean I'm not cautious like we were talking about coming into the end of the year. I'm definitely cautious, right? I'm not trading a bunch in my options accounts, but I'm definitely not bearish on this market whatsoever until we see a big market structure shift or change in what we're seeing over and over.
And those typically don't happen in December. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I think there's a statistic out there. Like, if the market's up 20% in December, like the odds of it being a red month is like low single digits. Like, again, December's known as the trend-setting month. Whatever happened in the year, it's going to continue in the month of December. And I think so I got this question a lot during Thanksgiving break, where I'm known as the stock guy. Clearly, I'm all my circles, and I'm getting a lot of text messages, and also every time I hang out with people, like they ask what I suggest them doing to get into the market because a lot of people have noticed the
And
market
when do
just
they usually
running
hit you up for that, Shy? When markets are like at all-time
really,
highs, huh?
yeah. When people
Yeah.
feel like it's very easy, like oh, like it's that's when I'm like okay, like I'm trying to communicate with like valuations are really up there right now, and like if you haven't participated in this rally past 2 years, I'd be a little squeamish on getting in now. Having said that, I don't anticipate any kind of pullback occurring until 2025. So if you want to, like, this is a great month for to do your due diligence, to do your research, because I'm not saying it's going to continue roaring up. I do think there's going to be a lot more reward than risk next couple weeks, but I do think that it's kind of the prepping month ahead of what's going to be a volatile first 100 days next year, in my opinion, where Trump's going to be like doing a lot of wonky announcements. He wants to make a disruption in his first 100 days. It will affect a lot of industries, and the market doesn't like uncertainty, especially if it's like, even though Trump's pro business and he's pro capitalism, he's going to break some things along the way. And that's going to make the market a little squeamish. And that, having said that as well, like it's tricky because it feels very toppy. I'm here seeing anecdotal evidence in my personal life. I'm seeing the valuations as well, but I also know there's trillions of dollars in the money markets that need to kind of get infused into the stock market because the interest rates are going down, down, down. They're going to continue. So I think that if there's any kind of dip that's going to occur, it's going to kind of be a very 2023, 2024-esque where it's going to be a V shape. The market's going to pull back if it does for some macro driven reason or some Trump commentary. It's going to probably hit that 21 EMA level that's been a very support for the SPY and Qs, and it's going to bounce from there because all the algorithms, all the money markets are going to be infused into that level, buying it. It's going to V-shape recovery to new highs until something structurally changes. That's what's my playbook entering 2025.
Well, a lot of people are so scared to see that. And I'm sitting back, like, even as an investor and a trader, I would love to see a pullback like that because, for one, we can capitalize on the intraday price action with, shorter term positions and then take that money, take that profit, and load it back into our long terms on the dip. I can't wait for the next dip. So, at the same time, if you're on the sidelines right now and you're kind of like, hey, I would have loved to be a part of this. Don't get discouraged when the dip comes. That's your time to capitalize, right? And again, we can always capitalize on the downside price action too, right? We can make money to the downside. So, obviously, again, I'm not bearish at all, but I would love to see a big market dip into 2025, something that gets people going, whoa, like what are we doing here? We need to make some decisions. I would love to see that type of market where we get a little bit of a market structure change,
Well,
but
you
I
also
don't know
feel
if
that
it's coming.
anxiety though from people, like they missed out on some winners, like they missed out on Palantir, they missed out on Tesla, they missed out
Mm-hmm.
on Rocket Lab. The list goes on. Like they're feeling that FOMO on the sidelines of like, I could have added these names if I was just like had a DCA plan, or like I wasn't just waiting for that pullback that never occurred and just kept going higher and higher. So like that's a tricky psychological barrier for investing where you want that pullback to occur, it just never did, and you just miss out on like a 2xer from there. That's why it's like for me specifically, I'm a long-term investor. Like have your DCA plan, infuse that cash every couple weeks into the names, and then if there's a pullback, you'll have that cash and every couple weeks to add during that pullback. You won't miss out on this like massive move with experience. So have
So
that laundry list ready.
this is exactly why I have multiple accounts. It's
Yeah.
like just have plenty of accounts where you can do different types of investing in each account, right? I have my long term, I have my options account, I have my futures accounts, and it makes it very easy for one to never miss out, right? Even though I haven't been taking part in too many options plays lately, and Tesla's still been like ripping to the upside. I'm in it. I'm in long term equity. I might not be capitalizing on the shorter term price action, but I'm okay with that. I got plenty of equity. I'll capitalize there, right? So just being able to be in all those different areas of investing for me, it's like the perfect trio. I feel like of investing, just long term, options or whatever type of swing type of trading you want to do, and then being able to day trade with futures or whatever you choose there. I think you're able to capitalize on it all. You're never missing out. You know what I mean? So that I'm gonna continue to do that, and hopefully things keep going good. We'll see. Earnings this week. Oh yeah, we still got some earnings kicking off. I don't know. Some
Some
that I'm
juicy
watching
ones.
personally are going to be CRM, Marvell, Okta, Lulu, and Ulta. I do own a little bit of shares in Ulta and Lulu, but might be selling them. Depends on after this earnings and doing some tax loss harvesting. We'll see. But any earnings you're looking at in specific, Shy?
Yeah, I think Zscaler are going to run. I think this is one name that the reporting after the bell today. It is one of the tier one cybersecurity names is CrowdStrike, Palo Alto. Tier two is led by Zscaler. Zscaler is a they're the best at what they do in SASE, but it's a highly competitive niche within cybersecurity. But they're the best at what they do in that space, but it's highly competitive. I think last quarter they had a really bad earnings report from management, essentially sandbagging their guidance, in my opinion, and that led to a massive sell-off. And you can see right now that the high quality laggers in the software space is catching major bids after their earnings report because they're producing not just good enough numbers, but like good enough than initially feared. And it's actually kind of great numbers. And as the market's moving their uh, attention from the stage one AI to stage two, which is software applications, I think a lot of people are underexposed in the cybersecurity thematic within that stage two of AI. Zscaler, CrowdStrike has like they gave you that opportunity from that July 19th outage. It only lasted a couple months. It's over. It's got that premium valuation. Palo Alto has that premium valuation. Zscaler does not yet. That's why I think they're going to kind of catch a bid, and it's something that I'm very bullish on entering their print this afternoon. That I might participate in a commons trade, not options trade, because the IV just gets. I don't like the risk and reward on playing options via earnings, but I do think Zscaler is going to be one of those big moves.
We need a two
Uh,
times leverage ticker, huh?
yeah, we do.
See, those are
uh,
my favorite to capitalize on earnings because, like you say, IV is horrible on the options. I don't want anything to do with those, so that's when the two times leverage tickers come
yeah,
in handy for
absolutely.
sure.
I mean, going off for the rest of the week as well. Like tomorrow, Pure Storage is a great name. This ran up, so look to the left. I can see that pulling back. Okta is another cybersecurity name, but it's just a shit show. What's happening there? I think that it's not like a Zscaler situation. Like I think there's a structural issue right now. What's happening in Okta? Regarding Wednesday, Sentinel One is reporting that's a smaller cap cybersecurity name that a lot of people on FinTwit are very bullish on. A lot
Yeah, it
of
always
people are
gets a lot of movement. I feel like a lot
it
of people
does.
talk about Sentinel One.
It's
I've
because
never
it's
really traded
undervalued.
it, but yeah,
It is undervalued,
100%.
but their issue isn't a sense of one issue. It's a CrowdStrike issue. Like CrowdStrike is outgrowing them, out earning them, and they are in the same competing endpoint market. So like people always ask like, oh, why is Sentinel One they have a smaller base? Why aren't they outgrowing CrowdStrike? Like I get the profitability would be different, different stages of their product cycles or growth as a company, but why aren't they outgrowing CrowdStrike? And that's the question that consistently gets asked. And even during the July 19th outage, I didn't see that much churn from CrowdStrike customers leaving to Sentinel One. And you have heard that commentary from management. Like management doesn't hide against bullish like catalysts like that. Like they would double down, triple down, and you just haven't seen that. So like that's a name that I think is going to be always undervalued. I think in a post AI world, capitalism will be brutal, and these smaller players are going to have a bigger mountain to climb to kind of compete with the bigger players, and especially in cybersecurity, that's very competitive. I think Central One probably gets acquired down the line, and it will always be look undervalued and never be very fairly valued. But either way, like that's one of those lagging names that could catch a bid as well. Um, Same thing with, I mean, we're about to open in 4 minutes. So I won't get into the other names, but that's you guys can hear that my like narrative or thought process when I look at earnings every single week. Like, look to the left and look about the quality of the company. Like those two things matter a lot in your print, especially when like Nvidia is a perfect example. Nvidia had an amazing earnings, amazing. Look to the left, it's up 200% in their prints. It's not
Is it
really
really
reacting.
surprising that we got the price action that we did? I mean, not really,
A
right?
lot of things, a lot of things are priced into Nvidia's stock already. All
Yeah.
those bullish tailwinds. Like honestly, at this point, especially with commentary from Jensen on the call from Blackwell demand, it didn't really move the needle. I think Nvidia's a little stuck right now until they have their next earnings catalyst. Like I think the risk is actually way more than the reward in the near term because of Trump. Like Trump's going to say some commentary on his barking on U.S. China trade wars. That's going to hit semis, and that's going to hit Nvidia specifically because
That's
their
where I'm
hands
having
are
a
on
tough
everything.
time. Nvidia's number two. Tesla might be number one for me, but Nvidia's number two in my long term, and that's where I'm personally having a little bit of a
Yeah.
struggle because it's like I'm up massively on those shares, right? I want to protect that money, but I'm not looking to sell Nvidia, right? So, gonna be looking at ways to obviously protect some of that capital, like you say, maybe putting some hedges in place, trying to protect myself there a little bit, just
There's a
because.
lot of 2x ETFs that can like do that for you though.
Exactly, right? If you have enough shares, of course, you can always be selling covered calls,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. Ways to hedge yourself and protect the money that you're making. So, I'm gonna be looking for that because obviously, I mean, Trump coming in, it does scare me for sure. Especially the last time tariffs were introduced and we saw what Nvidia did. So, I'm being very cautious going into that. But I think we're gonna hop over to StockTwits and get on some charts. I would love to see the narrative on Tesla on there, see what people are looking at for Tesla. But I'm just watching personally on Tesla right now. We're looking decently strong in the pre-market. I mean, after the move, it's been pretty flat. Um, but we'll see what that can do. Whether it wants to fill the gap to the downside and find some gap fill buyers off, Friday's high or so, that 345.50 area, or whether we just want to drift higher this morning. But I'm keeping my eyes heavily on Tesla for sure. I'm not in any swing trades at the moment. But you look at this consolidation that we've been in kind of on the daily and weekly, and I think it's time to get out of it sometime soon, hopefully. We've been consolidating basically since that Monday or Tuesday of November 12th, right there. So I
I think their
think
all time
I think
high
it's
is
time for a
410,
move.
right?
Yeah, I think you're
I
right.
think
I'm gonna
so. So
double check.
I don't know.
Yes,
I
you're
think
right.
there's a
414.50.
I think there's a magnet towards that all time highs. So I think
Absolutely.
like do what you want with that information trade. I do think that Trump's gonna drop some like pro Tesla bomb in the first 100 days of his presidency. So like honestly, a $400 strike for like June expiration like doesn't feel that bad of a move in my opinion because I think there is going, especially if we clear this level, which looks like we're going to, and we're going to maintain that 340 level. Like I do think there's a magnet towards 400, and it won't take that much of a. You're showing like all these bearish headlines that should be affecting Tesla stock isn't anymore. That's a new character change in Tesla's like shareholder
Well, yeah, look at
sentiment.
every time we've got bad news on Tesla, investors go nuts, and it's like, oh my God, sell it, and then it's just like a back and forth game, and that's how
And
it's
but
been.
it's
And
holding though now. Like
clearly
there's
changing. Oh, well, there's the market back. Ding ding.
all right, let's see.
We are
So
live.
SMCI is moving right now off of news that they are what was the news specifically?
Yeah, that's some big candles this morning.
So
Wow.
completion of independent special committee review, and it's complete. So no clear fraud or red. Like there's probably some red flags, but no fraud. And I think it's bouncing off of that sentiment. Still not a good company to invest in my opinion, but I
I'm with
do
you there.
think it's experiencing that dead can bounce a little right now.
There's always trades there, though. That's for sure. Being on Spaces, being live all day, I hear a lot of the guys that I trade with. They're all always trading in and out of SMCI, but none of them are really investing into it. So take that with how you want there.
Amazon's catching a bit too. They're above 210 now.
Yeah,
Nice.
NQ ripping here. Let's take a look at Amazon on stock twits here. 210.56, looking good the past month. Jeez, been beautiful. I'm personally not in any trades there, but I do have a little bit of equity that I hold. We're coming into this big level right now, 211 on Amazon. See if we can break through that. It actually just filled that gap on the daily. So that's a gap fill. Let's see if there's any sellers off that area. But if we can get over that, I see 212.25, and over that we should see those range highs, hopefully new highs there. But looking really strong on Amazon this morning right now, getting over that 211.
Wow, Palantir is red to start off. Interesting. I'm like always wondering like when we're gonna get that pullback in Palantir. Like there's going to be a pullback sometime.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
I,
the
I know there's going to be.
INTC's up pretty good, kind of pulling back into the open there, but just holding. I feel like there's not going to be too much that happens with that today unless it gets going off this 21 EMA like right now and buyers come in. Otherwise, it kind of has that look where it just chomps and dwindles all day. Not much happens. We'll see. Where's that VIX as well? VIX still under 14 bucks. It tried to gap up over slightly, but couldn't hold over that. So volatility continues to be, not there at all, really. So again, it just makes for a tough trading environment, whether you're intraday trading or swing trading. I think it's just it's tough to be trading at these areas, and I see a lot of guys that do really well during normal market times, and right now, they always take time off when it's all-time high areas, just because the price action can be tough. But yeah, VIX just getting destroyed. Looks like people in the comments on stock twits are seeing if it's a VIX bottom. It's just so hard to pinpoint that. But at the end of the day, like Shay was saying, it's a very cheap hedge at the moment, right? So maybe looking into taking some of those contracts isn't a horrible idea, right? To be able to hedge yourself a little bit at these prices, but not something I'm looking to do at the moment personally, at least with VIX. It just still looks nasty, gosh. Structure is lower lows. We just broke a new low on the daily, so I have nothing telling me that we should really get a big bump up. But at the same time, guys, if you're ever watching VIX or trying to trade it, like you can't really look at it the same way you look at any stock chart, in my opinion. You're not going to be able to read those candlesticks the same way, in my opinion, because it's just, clearly look at the chart. It's completely different than a normal ticker moving. Bitcoin's still chilling around that 95K. Just not doing too much on this. It's all constructive to me. All this pullback price action, sideways price action is all constructive and healthy. If it wasn't, we would see hard rejection and hard pullbacks right back down to where we broke out, right? But we're not seeing that. Last week, you look at that previous weekly candle, and it was a complete inside week of the previous week's price action. That is healthy. That is bullish to me. This week, we're starting out kind of the same way. So we'll see how this continues. Whether or not we can break under last week's low or over last week's high is kind of what I'm looking for. Whichever happens first is where we're looking to kind of go. But on this dip, the way we're holding, I would anticipate we do break to the upside and hopefully get moving to that 100K. But again, they're not making it easy, right? And I didn't anticipate they were going to make it easy for anybody. It's not going to shoot straight up right into 100K for everybody to sell. You know what I mean? And It's no wonder they took it to 99.5, 99.6, wherever it was. So looking interesting there. You making any moves right now, Shy?
Yeah, I'm looking right. Small caps are pulling back right now. They are showing clear weakness. So I am looking at actually, I'm potentially buying some IonQ and Rocket Lab hedges. I was a little worried about this. It's like a game of hot potato right now. Like small caps, big tech, small caps, big tech, risk on, big tech. Seeing the pre-market action on Amazon, I'm seeing like Q's being up 0.6%, Tesla catching a bit. I'm like, oof. I feels like it's gonna be a big tech's moment a bit, like entering this week, like the positioning's kind of happening towards that sector. And for some reason, risk on or small cap and big tech can't really aren't moving along with each other as much. So I thought there'd be some profit taking in small cap, and we're seeing that right now with Rocket Lab down 3%, IonQ down 5%, IWM is getting sold off right now at the open. I'm trying to see, oof, maybe I should, because right now the RSI is above 90 for both Rocket Lab and IonQ. That is, anything above 70 is overbought. 90 is like euphoria, like overbought. So I'm like, okay, so I have Rock Lab's a plus 500 position for me. Commons, not options, just commons. I got in at $4. IonQ, I got in at $6. It's like 300 position just for me. And this is a matter of like 6 months. I'm like, I'm so bullish long term, but like, quantum computing in space is the next frontier after AI. I don't think it's gonna happen right now. Like we're still just getting AI started, and there's a lot of pull forward demand that's happening in these names. Where I get that Rock Lab had an inflection earnings period where they proved to the market they're going to be the space logistics company of the future. So like they're getting re-rated. But IonQ, quantum computing has been around, and it's like this is the best pure play for it. But there's nothing fundamentally different than it was a year ago in IonQ. But their valuation is 5x. That feels like maybe a 25 to 30% pullback is due, and I think IonQ below $30 is still like expensive in my opinion. So like, I'm trying to figure out what to do about that. Is
Yeah,
right now it's
something I'm keeping an eye on. Netflix just continues to be strong. They bought that dip right back up from last Monday, and things are looking great. Right back to the highs here. We're coming into some big levels of resistance. Obviously, those previous highs, but I think things are looking great for Netflix. And then obviously everything they're doing, they just had that Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight. Although I know things like it's funny, there was a lot of problems with that, and then stock just absolutely ripped after that. So I thought that was funny. However, my buddies were telling me they're like, "Oh, Netflix stock gonna drop, eh?" I was like, "I don't know, we'll see." And it actually just kept ripping. So love to see that. We'll see if Netflix can really get over that $900. There is a 2x leverage ticker for Netflix, just to throw on everybody's radar if you were interested. NFLU. That's the 2x leverage Netflix long there. So if you were ever interested in trading some leverage tickers there, that is on the radar. But obviously $900, huge psychological level. We talked about psychological levels with like Bitcoin, right? 100K. There's going to be some big resistance there, right? So until we can really get momentum over 900, I'm obviously thinking we reject, and that's what we're seeing this morning right now. But obviously $1,000 is an even bigger psychological level. So I would love to see Netflix get up there. I don't know if she can do it, but we'll see.
so another name that I love. So, as you guys hear me talk, like after a couple weeks, I think AI is going to cannibalize the software space, but it's going to actually give like a handful of like clear winners, and those clear winners are going to be able to charge unprecedented pricing power, and the market's going to assign a very premium valuation. We are already seeing that with Palantir, where this move in Palantir this year has been a little fundamental, but really is just the market re-rating them as a premier stage 2 AI winner. Cloudflare, ticker NET. This is another name that, in my opinion, has cemented themselves into that post AI, enterprise AI modern tech stack, where the market's going to start assigning a very juicy valuation to them. Right now, they're very expensive already, but you see how multiple expansion isn't really being factored as a valuation anymore. It's just like if you can prove you belong in the post enterprise AI world, you're going to get a really ridiculous valuation. Today, they got a very bullish note. They're up 8% in the market today. This is a stock that's trading at, let me pull up my model. So right now, Cloudflare is trading at a ridiculous valuation. Um, by, oh my God, ah,
It's getting a nice pop this morning.
it is that like that's what I'm saying. Like the valuation doesn't really matter as much right now. It's taking a backseat, but Cloudflare is trading at 147 times 2025 free cash flow. Not just this year, 2025, because it's like valuation again is taking a backseat. I think right now people are knowing the stage two layer of AI is beginning and it's going to be even more explosive than the stage one of AI for the like the hardware server compute names. Like you saw 2023, that was the year of semiconductors. That's when the first stage of AI occurred. 2025 will be the first year of the stage two occurring in AI, and that's going to be all software names. So if you saw how explosive that was for semis, this next year is going to be just as explosive for software names, and that's what you're seeing this past couple weeks and today as well. Like a lot of people are front running this move because they want that exposure to that second layer, and you're also kind of it's different characteristics stage one and stage two. Stage one is a lot of pull forward demand for the hardware server and compute names that's very cyclical. It's not going to be recurring. It's just getting all the tools necessary to create this AI product. But at a certain point, you're not going to need any more tools. You're going to let the product is at a place where you don't need any more tools. Software, the stage two, that's not the case. Everything is recurring. If you use our software product, it's not like it's a one-time charge. Like you're going to be paying us every single month, and it's something that you can't just like flip a switch and take out. It's something that's very sticky and recurring, and that's why the stage two multiples are going to expand way higher than stage one names because of that recurring nature. So Cloudflare is one of those CDN networks where you're going to need Cloudflare's product, specifically for the content delivery network in the future AI world. And I think analysts are just bidding this now, seeing signs of it, and want to give positive notes, and that's what you're seeing today. So I want to add that color. I want to see what Snowflake and MongoDB are doing. So let's
Oh
do
yeah,
Snow.
good reminder. I haven't looked at Snowflake in a minute. I want to check on that. Little dip into the bottom of this range we've kind of been trading in since
Wow, sentiment's
Wednesday.
still bearish. That is insane. That
It's
smells
really
opportunity still.
consolidating and holding well up here, Shy. I mean, I don't love all these top wicks on the daily when I check the chart, but at the same time, it's higher lows, higher highs. The consolidation's healthy. It's not looking to go anywhere near that gap, at least right now. I mean, this looks great to me until I really see otherwise. I mean, if we get close to that 161, 162 area, then I fear we try to get into that gap a little bit. At least maybe just not fill the whole gap, but like maybe a half gap type of situation, you know. Um, but as long as you're far away from that, I think this looks great. 175 here, looking good.
Nvidia is above 140, so Nvidia is one name that I'm watching right now, because that 140 level, like you guys saw last week, that was a clear resistance for that name. And once it got rejected and went down like aggressively, it's like, oh, I think the market's gonna pull back. They're breaking above that 140 level and actually catching a bid today at the market, along with that big tech, like the rotation happening from small cap to big tech. Nvidia is part of that rotation. So if this can hold the 140 level and not just to hold, but like kind of use it as like a launching pad towards like I don't know 142, 143, and you see it with volume, I'm like, okay. So I do think that big tech is going to continue. The market's going to continue going up. So any kind of dip, like right now we're seeing a mini dip that's occurring in the Qs and SPY. Like SPY's about to go red.
See, but look at the main components of SPY. For one, Nvidia up, Apple, Microsoft up pretty good here so far. I mean, they're taking a little dip from the highs there, but you know, all the biggest names of SPY are looking really healthy right now. So I'm not I'm keeping my eyes open for any short opportunities, obviously, but everything's to the upside here. The trend's up so far, so I'm gonna follow that until I actually see something that gives me an opportunity to the other side. But no trades for me yet this morning on NQ. I've just been just hanging out so far.
Intel's giving back their gains.
Crude oil's down as well, which makes sense with market up. Gold chilling
I like I don't know. I need to do some more research on Intel, but I think this might be a name that's on my watch list now that the CEO left.
Shy likes the intel.
It's we need it's like a Boeing situation where like poor corporate governance has caused that company to just go down, down, but the U.S. needs Boeing to succeed. The U.S. needs Intel to succeed, so we don't rely on Taiwan as much.
Mm-hmm.
And I know TSM's like launching some manufacturing plants in Arizona, I think it is, but we still can't rely on TSM like so. Like we need a duopoly in that space. We need Intel's foundry to actually succeed. If they can, I think they're going to do some wonky corporate ninja strategies, like cutting off some of their unprofitable legs, spinning off some of the unprofitable segments of their business, like maybe doubling down on foundry. Regardless, like I think this is probably a long-term opportunity where I made a joke with Jordan where if his parents bought Intel stock when he was born, they would be red right
Yeah,
now. That
that's
just
crazy.
shows how much of just like dead stock it's been for decades. And
Whereas, like, if that were the case for Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, any name like that, it's like if you bought back then, you are sitting pretty with beautiful profits right now. You know what I mean? And to be red on INTC since back then is just
I
that
mean,
that blew my mind when you said that.
at 1997, it was at $24 the stock, the Intel. So like,
Ugh.
there's a ton of there is some fear of this just being a dead stock. But I
Yeah.
do think they have the materials necessary that if they get the right captain to lead that ship, it could be one of those turnaround stories
Well, it
because
needs that, especially for my generation, because my generation
mhm,
looks at that and it's like 100% dead stock. Why would I? Why would I ever really
yeah,
touch that? Right? We
they
need
view it as
something
yeah.
to really spark the younger side. I think because I mean that makes up a decent amount of the market these days, right? You look at majority of retail and the majority of people coming in. I mean, I see majority on the younger side just from personal experiences, but obviously I don't know for sure on the data on that, but be curious. NQ still looking really strong here. I have no reason to short this market as of now. I think if you're trying to short just because we're up so much, I don't see the thesis there. Things are looking strong. I have, for
Small
those that know
caps are
my
pulling back
CVC
though.
strategy, CVC is holding bullish, so I have no reason to short this market quite yet. Oil, on the
Gee,
other hand, been nice short this morning.
what's happening at New Bank, NU?
Ooh, got
They're
hit pretty good. Whoa, like
the past week they've gone
yeah.
destroyed. I know last week there was like something bearish that occurred in Brazil, I
Well,
think.
since earnings, it's just been horrible.
I think valuations come into play. This is why I don't like freaking banks. I hate the fintech space
Yeah.
because it's it's one that has a low barrier of entry for competition. So like I think if a stock has got a premium valuation within fintech, like that valuation can go away very quickly because of the low barrier of entry for competition. Because it's a highly competitive space, low margins, competition just keeps beating each other up and cannibalizing each other's take rate in the process. Nubank has a massive advantage in the Latin America region. Like they are the best. If you're bullish on Latin America next decade, Mercado Libre, Nubank. Those are your two names to capture the best exposure for that thematic. Nubank is a pure fintech play. It's a bank essentially. I think it got widely popular because Buffett was bullish on this name or owns a lot of this name. But that pure fintech exposure leads it makes it vulnerable in my opinion for their multiples to contract because of that um, low moat environment for fintech names where Mercado Libre like Mercado Pago like their fintech component of this company is what I believe it's still as disruptive as Nubank is in the Latin America regions, but they have the flywheel effect where their e-commerce presence is massive and cannot be disrupted in the region. It's a very high level, high. It's a very high level of entry for competition. Like during 2020, when like e-commerce blew up, they didn't try expanding to different parts of the world. They purely reinvested into their infrastructure in Latin America, the logistics network. Again, logistics is what my favorite tell is on a move of a company. Mercado Libre has that logistics, but they took years to invest in it in 2021, 2022. So now, for competition in the Latin American space, they have to spend billions of capex dollars, and it doesn't make sense for them to do that. So now they have a massive flywheel effect due to logistics, e-commerce, and fintech. So this is my favorite Latin America name, but I do think it's a little red today. I think Latin America is getting hit from a major uh, I'm gonna pull it up. Something major happened last week that's affecting like lower income of that region. But either way, I do think Nubank and Mercado Libre's different stories on this dip opportunity. 'Cause I do think Melly went down 3% off the news last week, where New went down 6. But I don't know. What's your take on Nubank?
Oh, dude, I haven't
What does it
traded it
look?
once. There was a nice trade on it. I think our boy Paper Gains was on it like a few months ago. I haven't touched it. I'm with you. I don't really like to trade any bank names for the most part. I think the only bank name I've really traded is JPM, to be honest. Just not to my liking. And honestly, a stock that's $11 trading options. I'm generally just not trading options on a stock that's that cheap for the most part. So, not one of my favorites, but definitely some opportunity for the short-term trades. Not really an investment for me though. And then Melly though, Melly actually, my boy, you know Emperador. He
Mhm.
he really likes Melly, and him being down in Mexico, he sees a lot of what's going on with it, and yeah, he's heavily invested in that for the long
It's
term. So,
I mean,
I like Melly. Price
I hate when
action's great
people
on it. What's that?
I do hate it when people say like this is the Amazon of something. Like
I know,
you
I
hear that
know.
all the time. But this is actually the
It
Amazon of
is
Latin
though.
America.
Absolutely.
It,
Absolutely. No, I think it's a great name. I think if I were, I do like this name for a longer term investment. Obviously, trying to pick it up on dips, but even just for a trading vehicle, in and out, I think it's pretty decent for the most part. It's just expensive, right? So it's got to be playing options for the most part. I wouldn't be trading shares on that, for the trade, but yeah, I like the names. We're seeing right now tech is just really strong. You see NQ, QQQ, much stronger
oof.
than SPY right
Rock Lab's
now.
down 8% right now. Yeah, see,
Oof.
small caps are getting sold. This I gotta learn how to trade and talk and stream at the same time because
It's
like
it's tough.
it's tough. Like this, I knew Rock Lab and IonQ were going to pull back right at the open, seeing that rotation happening. IonQ's down 8%. Now Rock Lab's down 9%. So like, I do think Rock Lab needed that, I don't know, gut punch of
Hmm.
don't get euphoria, but like I don't think it's gonna go back towards the teens ever again. I think this is gonna be. I think a dip opportunity is going to get bought. I don't know if this is gonna get a bought, but I do think that it's one of those good dips to have happen because you don't want a stock to get just continue going up and up and up. It's like not healthy. It's like
Yeah, you want
uh
those healthy pullbacks. Like even like Tesla. I mean, would I love if Tesla just kept ripping to the upside? Sure, but that consolidation we got over the past week and a half has been healthy. I'm glad we got that. I'm glad we didn't just keep shooting to the upside because to me that's when it gets a little scary and like parabolic and I don't like that movement. I like healthy movement, right? And you get those impulsive legs up, pull back, that sideways consolidation, and the next impulse up. That's the trend I like to ride for the most part. Shout out Transpider in the chat.
oh my
Morning,
god,
morning.
I only use what Transpire is the best. That's what I use for all my levels. Like
Oh,
it's
is
got the
that is that
cleanest
your
UI.
go-to? I love
That's
it.
my
Good
go-to.
stuff.
It's like one of those things where you like, I don't know if I'm just so OCD or loyal, but like if I can use any other chart
You get
websites except for
attached. You
Transpider,
get
I'm
attached.
very attached.
I would say, yeah, don't get attached to stocks. Get attached to like the hardware you use. You know what I mean? Like I get so attached to like a broker or a that type of thing because I, I get so specific with what I like and I don't like to change it. You know what I mean? My whole trading platform and the way everything looks. I'm big on that. I'm big on it being appealing to me. So,
Jeez, Rock Lab's down 10% now. I should
oh gosh,
I gotta listen. It's fine. Yeah, okay,
all good.
so we have 5 minutes left. Some commentary on wrapping this up. I mean, big tech is clearly strong. I want to see if this is going to continue throughout the day or if this is a new trend towards the end of the year. Um, Small caps are pulling back. Like I don't like Rock Club's down 10%, IonQ is down 8%, IWM is down 0.6% now. Like that's clearly getting. They just hit all-time highs last week, but it's kind of pulling back. I think there's some, I don't know, doubts of the stickiness of this rally for them. I think this is going to be an inflection. I think this is an inflection period for small caps. I think entering next year, it's going to be explosive. It's not like the past head fakes, but I guess Mark is waiting to see some proof in it. Who knows? I mean, I, what's the volume today? Let's see what the volume on SPY is because it looks like another timid
I'm
day.
seeing 4.58 mil on the day so far.
It's a little light. Okay,
A little
so
light. Nothing too crazy, but first 30 minutes here, so we'll see if things can really kick off and get going. But yeah, I agree. Small caps looking interesting here. I think that monthly looks super strong, and then coming out of when was that? That July month, we had that strong month, and then we consolidated the past few months. And now we just had another impulsive leg up. I'm kind of with you that this feels a little bit different than the last few head fakes, but I also feel like I've said that like a few times before, so we'll see. We'll see. But that monthly looks just so strong. I don't, in my head, I don't see a world where we don't really get going above that all time high and get ripping. But of course, that's the mindset that'll get you screwed. So gotta always be ready for any outcome. But yeah, what a morning. I appreciate the whole crew. Shy, appreciate you, brother. I think we're gonna wrap things up, but I hope everybody trades safe for the day, and we'll see everybody back bright and early in the morning for another episode of Daily Rip. So appreciate everybody. Peace.